Even though the team worked incredibly well together, now that the first investigation is over, they are able to take those experiences and improve even more. All right, so first investigation is over. So Dave and I just want to kind of go over with everybody some of the things that we saw and that we would like you to work on tonight at this next investigation. Jim, your big one was the word flash. Yeah, all through the night you were saying it every single time you flashed the camera. You tried to flash the camera while people were asking questions, like right in the middle of it, right after they did it, and after like the first 50 times you hear the word flash, it gets really, really annoying. So just from now on, as long as you're not if you don't have it pointed at anybody, go ahead and take a photo. You don't need to say flash. If you're going to start taking photos with people in it, try to make sure that they know that you're going to do it, and try to do it in such a way as you're not interfering with their session. When it comes to your session, if you're doing one and you're just kind of leading it, go ahead and take it whenever you want because you're the one that's leading it. So I would assume that you're not going to overly, destroy your own session doing that. The other thing for you, try not to breathe into the camera. Try to breathe through your nose as much as possible, or if anything, either hold the camera a little bit further away from yourself. That was a huge distraction, so just try not to do that. Allie, I thought your questions were really good. I really like the fact that you tried to relate to the spirits by talking about your experiences in the theater. Really the only thing that I have for you is sometimes you waited a really, really long time before you asked the next question. Sometimes it was over a minute of just silence. So just try to be wary of that. And Debbie, almost the exact same thing. I really liked a lot of your questions. I thought your timing was pretty good. I think sometimes you either got a little bit too antsy or you got a little bit too quiet. But otherwise, I thought you did really well.
Cool, thank you.
Cool. So Tanner, we'll start with you. I would like to see you more involved. I think that your first time out when you were using a piece of equipment, you were really wrapped up into that piece of equipment and you weren't kind of paying attention to everything else that was going around you. So be, don't be so wrapped up in the thing you have in your hands. And then your camera work, we're going to practice and work on that. But your camera work, you want to try and focus, when you have the camera, you want to focus on the person who's talking or what's happening in the room. There were times where you were kind of bored, we could tell, and you were floating all over the place and zooming in on, debris on the ground and stuff like that while questioning was being done. So, if something were to happen and you're the cameraman, you really need to be, like as an example in that stairway when we were all doing our separate things, I should have told you, go ahead and get up and why don't you film them, just in case something happened while we were all asking questions. So, other than that, you did great. Amy, I would say a little bit softer approach. I know some of the scenes when you were in there, and I think it probably comes from experience, because you've had your own team and stuff like that. You've got more of a commanding type of tone, so you don't say, hi, I'd like to get to know your name, or can you tell me your name, please, or something along those lines. It was more like, come here, speak to me, stuff like that. So if you could just be a little bit softer, I think that would be great. The other thing was, I think that you weren't as engaged as you could be. And I think that the whole team that I had was kind of like that. I think you guys were kind of waiting for me to lead, which is fine because it was our first time together. But for tonight, I want you guys to be more involved. So I don't want you to be afraid to take the reins if you have a great idea. So whoever's with me, okay? That's perfectly fine. You're not going to be stepping on anybody's toes, okay? And then Steve, really for you, again, like Tanner, don't get so wrapped up in the equipment. once you got the X cam in your hands, that you were on that thing for like an hour and a half, man, just, you know, so, try to pay attention to what's going on around you, try, use the equipment, but don't have it entertain you to the point where you're not engaged in what's happening all around you. And then secondly, don't assume that nothing's happening. So there were times when we would go through questions and then we would come to you, you would say things like, well, you didn't want to talk to Amy, so how about you can talk to me? Or, I don't remember the other one off the top of my head, but that one specifically in the stairwell. So just because we don't hear something doesn't mean something isn't happening. It's rare to get a disembodied voice. It does happen. We heard one in the stairwell. But it's not going to happen every time when we're out together. So I always use the approach of stuff is happening around us all the time, all right? And so you want to try and formulate your questions and your attitude that something is going on.
All right, so tonight we have the Old Dubuque County Jail. It has never been investigated before. For the history of that, I'm going to turn it over to Jim.
The history of that location actually starts before that building was built there. It starts with a man by the name of Patrick O'Connor. He actually lived in Galena, and he tried to kill a merchant in Galena by burning buildings and shooting at him. He was sought by the authorities and fled to Dubuque, where he set up shop there, and he got into it with another gentleman and shot a young miner, George O'Keefe, 5 times in the chest after forcing his way through George's cabin and accusing him of stuff.
Did he die?
He did die.
The kid died?
Yes, so on June 20th, 1834, about 20 years before the jail was built, he was convicted of murder. They actually held the trial 60 feet from the old jail on a grassy knoll, a mound. The trial took place on the spot. He was found guilty by a jury picked from the crowd, and a few months later he was hung. It was the first ever hanging in the state of Iowa. After he died, they buried him in a coffin in the mound, and that's where he stayed until the 1850s when they widened the street and built a foundation for a building there, and they found his coffin with his remains inside still in the mound. So he is said to haunt the old jail site, even though the jail was built sometime later, and he has been seen by people inside of the building. To the jail itself, it was built in 1858 with blue limestone. It's a Egyptian revival style, so it's one of only 3 buildings of that style left in the entire country. It was designated a National Historic Landmark in 1987, and it served as a jail for more than a century. It stopped being a jail in 1971. In the early days of it being a jail, it was the only place that inmates were housed in the entire county. So you had inmates there who were common neighborhood thieves up to the worst of the worst. They were all stored and held in the same location. When it was built, it had 32 cells and the sheriff's residence upstairs, and those cells are still there today. And there's also, in the basement, is where they had solitary confinement cells where they kept the worst people. And like I said, that's in the basement. And in 1874, they added 6 cells for the female prisoners, and that's in a different part of the building, and one of those cells is still there in the building intact as it was back then.
What year was that?
1874 is when they added the female wing.
Where did they move him to, or did they move him at all? Or just shove him further into the
body.
ground?
What did they do with the
Never
casket
mind.
after they dug him up?
In all the research I did, it was never said what they did with his remains after they found them.
Oh, lovely.
And the other part of that, the
Could be
mound,
why he's disturbed.
and again, that mound is 60 feet away from the jail. That mound, Dubuquers used it to celebrate 4th of July and have picnics on there. It was a park-like setting. When they widened the road and built the foundation for that building, they discovered it was a Native American burial mound.
Yep.
And they found artifacts in there, so that's 60 feet away from the building as well. So
And that was disturbed also.
it was disturbed.
So we could have some native spirits going on too.
Could be.
Very possible.
Yep, it's possible.
They've made some changes to some of these areas. The main jail has 3 levels to it of cells. They have sealed off level 3. So that will be, we will not be able to get in there. They have changed, so even though all the cells for solitary confinement are intact and we can't go in them, they have put a lot of storage area. There's a shelving system going right down the middle of the room. And they put a lot of cardboard boxes and stuff inside the solitary confinement. We can move them. They're perfectly fine. I just want you to be aware of, it's not empty. And the women's thing, the only reason why there's only one cell left over is they've changed that into a kitchen for everybody. So, and beyond the spirit of O'Keefe, right? O'Connor, being seen a couple times, nobody else has had any claims at this place. It is truly territory that we're going in blind besides this one guy. Cameras, obviously, camera number one, solitary confinement, staring down the road. Roll, holy crap, row. Obviously, first floor of the jail cell, second floor of the jail cell for camera number 3, and then down the hallway with the women's cell in the picture. Is everybody all right with where those cameras are?
Yes.
Okay.
What do you think about the place you spent so much time in, albeit bad time, being transformed into a kitchen and a storage area?
I have a few questions. I like what Deb was going with there, that the men's prison got transformed into a museum and the women's side just got to be a kitchen, which is pretty typical. How do you feel about that? If this was a kitchen while you were here, was it the women's duties, women's prisoners' duties to help make the food?
Do you get a lot of harassment and flack from any of the male prisoners, or do they do a pretty good job of trying to keep you separated from them?
Did the women get special treatment while they were here? Or were they treated the same as the male prisoners?
And we'll give them time to answer. We do have a device here. It's called a K2 meter. If you want to interact and communicate with us, all you have to do is come up to it and grab it like that. You can make it go off, and we'll see that you want to communicate with us. So this part of the kitchen has a wine rack in it, which I think is pretty cool to have in a jail, but does that bother you that when you were here you weren't allowed to? Okay, thank you. Does that bother you that that's here and when you were here you weren't allowed to drink alcohol? Okay. So, can you communicate with us by making that light up if it's yes to a question I ask, or any of us ask? Okay. Thank you. I'm just seeing if it's something else setting off.
Wouldn't be the exit's fine with it.
It's kind of far away from me. I'm going to pick this up and I'll put it back, okay? Just want to see something. Yeah, it's giving off some.
Not enough to where it would range down to the chair.
Yeah, this far away it's still...
Those two beeps for me.
Yeah, so
Excuse me.
2 feet away from it and it's not going off at all. So,
Okay.
and there's really nothing else around here that's The microwave's making it go off.
Whoa. Serious.
The
Okay.
oven from 1974,
Put out wrong.
but over there. So 2 feet away from it, it goes back to nothing. And nothing else really over here. Nothing up there either. Okay,
That's me.
I'll put that back there. So if you want to use it to communicate with us, you can do so. I just had to test the environment to see what was going on. Can you make that light up if you're still here with us and want to communicate?
The device that Jim is using is the K2 meter, an EMF detector that is the most popular with paranormal investigators, probably because it's the cheapest. You can find them online ranging from $50 to $70, $70 being a K2 with an alarm. It uses lights instead of numbers like the millimeter and an EMF detector, green being normal EMF, and red being a spike of 20 milligauss or more. The thing that a lot of people don't understand is that cell phones can also make the K2 go off and give you false readings. So it's very, very important that you make sure your phone is on airplane mode or off if you're going to use the K2 meter during an investigation. In this instance, I actually had forgotten to turn my phone off. So I believe that that is the cause of the K2 going off while it's sitting on the chair. It was a learning experience for the team, and it was a mistake on my part.
So, Tanner here. Is anybody in here with me? So what are you in for? How much time did you get for that? You think that's a bit excessive? That's kind of strange for you, looking out the window and seeing the changes that happen over the period of time. Is it something interesting for you to watch? I know there's a little rec area right outside those windows there. Did you enjoy to be able to go outside every once in a while? Seems like it gets kind of noisy in here, depending on the time of day. Is that? Do you like it more when it's quiet? Or does the noise give you some type of something to listen to pass the time? Have you ever been down in solitary, or did you spend all your time up here? before we head out of here, is there something you want to tell us? Maybe a message you want to relay to somebody, or even just want to tell us personally?
Gentlemen, let us partake of solitary confinement.
Yes, nice.
That's me. Actually, that's not me.
That's not you. Who's here with us already?
I'm not touching the antenna, am I?
No, I know. Everybody's positive that they have their cell phones either off or on airplane mode, correct?
I don't have a phone.
Okay. I'm just double checking.
Move away from that.
Can you make that light up again? You can see how it works. It makes really cool light flashes. Was that you?
Yeah, it was me going,
Okay. We don't do hum. You don't have anything on you, Jim?
No.
Okay. All right. We'll pick her back up.
Do you want me to keep asking or just...
Yep. No, you're fine.
Okay. While you were in the jail down here, were you able to make any friends?
I'm gonna put this here, Ellie, as a detection device.
Okay.
So if you were in this cell, and you were me, and your buddy was in the cell where Jim is at, and you guys wanted to pass some information back to each other, or maybe some sort of secret or something, how would you do that? Did you guys use a series of like taps and knocks, like Morse code? Are you moving, Jim?
No. Standing still.
If you used some sort of system like that, can you show us how you did it? Can you make some taps, some knocks?
Hi there. Just kind of figured I'd come in and visit you for a little bit. Do you mind having a lady in here for a few minutes?
What happened?
Felt something go across like my lower back.
Okay. I don't see anything behind you, so.
Now, if that was you, you just look, don't touch. Someone's in here with me. Can you walk up to that red lit up piece of equipment I put down on the ground? It'll light up and it'll let me know you're here.
Were you the one
one that pulled on my shirt earlier? I did not turn that on. I did not turn that on.
I saw that. I saw that.
Dude, it just turned my flashlight on without me turning it on. I didn't even have my finger on the button.
You turned on Amy's flashlight.
Can you turn it on again?
Dude, seriously.
Turn it off now, please.
Turn it off. Who keeps turning on my flashlight? Who's me? Turn it off. Please. Can you turn it on again now that it's not in my hand? Did you get that both times that my hand didn't even move?
Yes.
Turn it on again now that I don't have it in my hand. Did you say no?
Sounded like it. Please, just one more time.
What did you say?
I didn't catch it. It was a man. That's all I got.
Turn the flashlight on again, please. Right there on the floor, right next to Amy.
It's next to me. Can you turn it on, please?
Nope.
Nope.
Why?
Plain as day. Nope.
So, what we're going to do is we're just gonna kind of go over what we did.
Sure.
Personal experiences that we had, and then get into the evidence. I know Jim's group had
Sure.
several.
Yeah, we were downstairs again in solitary, and like Mike said, that was an area where we got a lot of stuff going on. And we put Allie in the farthest back solitary cell and put Debbie in the one next to it. And Allie, while they were in there, she kept hearing noises going on in between the two cells, and sometimes Debbie heard them, sometimes she didn't. So there were noises being made, and a couple times they were on command, Allie said. So that was interesting. And while they were in there as well, Debbie kept hearing, like I said, noises. Not as much as Allie, but there was one point where she got a really creepy, weirded out feeling, and she felt kind of, a warm, fuzzy, tingly feeling on your arm, like when your hand is falling asleep. She got that feeling, and then her hand got really warm, and it was a passing moment. It didn't last a really long time. So we had that happen in solitary downstairs, and up here, I had a couple personal experiences. One, I was sitting over here. I think it was during our spirit box session, and up on that middle door up there on the second floor, it lit up like somebody was standing in there with a flash on a camera, just lit up, and saw it. Didn't catch it on video, but there was another time that happened during the night too. I think Allie saw the other one, or you saw the other one. One of the third floor, there was light out in the cell, lit up, and then went away.
We tried to say that it was probably lights from the police station or something like that. But that's really high up, even for the police station.
Well, the other thing too, you have the option is you know, next time if you choose to do it, close the curtains. They're power blinds, drop them down so you don't get any outside light.
That really helped. When we were down in Solitary. Solitary had like a lot of the personal claims. Amy was against the back wall that faces the cells
Yeah.
on the other side by the exit door.
Yeah.
So she's asking questions, and she feels like her shirt gets tucked. Just right there in the sleeve. We did have a camera on her, did not pick it up. So it's just a personal experience. So while I was up here, we started up here throughout the night, or at the beginning of the night. They went down to Solitary. We each took a jail cell. I took third one in, I believe, third or fourth one in. Steve was in this one, and then Tanner was up in Dutch Loose. Is that a fake name?
Yeah, that was part of when they used to do the dog and pony show here, they had lights go on and other things, you know, kind of telling a story about it, so yeah.
Okay,
That's all.
okay, that's what I figured. Tanner was in that one, and then Amy was down in the one without the door.
Okay.
So I'm doing my thing. We have a K2, which I did not bring. It just lights up. The more EMF is here, the more it lights up. It starts with yellow, then it goes to green, orange, and then red is like 20 plus, which is huge. I don't know what it is, but within the first 10 feet of these jail cells, it spikes it all the way to red.
Wow.
It goes down to nothing, go up to red, goes down to nothing, goes up to red, without stop. We can only say that there's a natural cause of that. We just don't know what it is.
Yeah, because I think what it could be, and there really isn't anything unless you're picking up something from the access points. But those access points are going to be, you know, way, way, way outside of that.
Okay. So that was weird for us. So I had my K2 sitting on the jail cell. It was lighting up the orange constantly. So I got the camera faced out the door. For whatever reason, and I noticed this in the viewfinder, because when I show it to you, you'll actually see it, me follow it, like, I'm like, but this little white orb, and these cameras are good where they do not pick up dust.
Yeah.
So it's just, so I'd like to get your opinion on it, because I don't think it's a bug, because we didn't see any bugs the entire night. We were told that all kinds of criminals were put in here, from jaywalkers to murderers. We were told that all kinds of criminals were put in here, from jaywalkers to murderers. So that was really interesting to us. That was the only time that night that was seen.
Yeah, definitely something there.
Yeah,
Not sure what, but
no, neither am I.
definitely wasn't a flying dust bunny.
No, and that's what was weird, because like the first one you could probably say, well, that's just air current pushing, a dust bunny, but the other one just kind of meandering along at its own little pace.
There really isn't that much dust in here. That's the interesting thing.
Yeah. So down in Solitary again, I'm still in the jail cell, and this was actually caught on 2 recorders. This is the best one. The other three that were with me kind of spread out, one on this end, one on that end, and Amy was against the wall. They had heard what sounded like a knock. And I'm like, where did it come from or whatever? And they're like, it came from over here. I'm like, I can't see you. I'm in the cell. And they pointed it out. Well, right after they did that, a voice kind of came in. So I'll play that for you and get your take. It should be right about here.
You can be back.
Oh, this isn't the one. Never mind. I can't see him. I don't know what wall you're talking about.
I'm standing right here, like right by the static panel. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I can't see him. I don't know what wall you're talking about. I can actually highlight and amplify that for you.
Saying something, I can't make out what it is, but it's saying something.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. What we believe it's actually saying is you're welcome.
Okay.
Let me
I mean, that might make sense. Yeah.
But, so it's almost like he's saying you're welcome for making that knock or whatever. So this is that spirit box session that we sent Amy, Steve, and Debbie down for. Debbie's holding the camera, Amy's got the spirit box, which is right here, and Steve is back here with the camera. You know what the spirit box is?
No, I have no clue.
Okay, so
That was one of the questions I was going to ask.
yes, all right. So the spirit box is a device that pretty much cycles through radio frequencies at a very fast pace. The theory is it is supposed to be impossible for an entire word to actually come through before it's four notches down the spectrum. But spirits are able to manipulate the frequencies and actually speak through it. The best comparison I have is Bumblebee from Transformers.
Okay.
The way that he would speak with the radio, that's what they're doing. Sometimes it's in like their sentences are in like 4 different octaves because they're using the radio frequencies. Sometimes you can get clear as day their own voice. So in Amy's hand right here, she's holding this flashlight.
Okay.
And there's a reason why I brought it. So I'm going to play this clip and then get your take on it.
Okay.
Were you the one that pulled on my shirt earlier? I did not turn that on. I did not turn that on.
I saw that. I saw that.
Dude, it just turned my flashlight on without me turning it on. I didn't even have my finger on the button.
You turned on Amy's flashlight.
Can you turn it on again?
Dude, seriously.
Turn it off now, please.
So this is the one that she's holding. And the thing is that,
Yeah, it requires.
yeah, it requires a lot. I mean, sometimes if you push it like just enough, it will like just turn on. But the way she had it, like I can even shove this into my hand and it doesn't do a thing. The only thing that I don't understand about this, and I will be completely honest about it, I don't see the flashlight turn on the first time that they're talking about it, like at all.
Yeah, see it the other time.
But yes, but then they're like, well, can you do that one more time? And they just put it down, it turns on. And it doesn't turn off until, again, Steve clicks it. You know, I've tried loosening up the cap, you know, just maybe it was just a little loose and it can't get it. I can't recreate that. So that was very, very interesting to me. I think according to Debbie, it turned on and then it just kind of flashed off, which is why we didn't see it because it was up a little higher. But the thing is that once they asked for it to do it again,
Can you turn it on again?
Dude, seriously.
Turn it off now, please.
so I really can't say anything to the first time that they claimed that that went on. It did not get caught, but you could definitely see it the second time. So it's definitely a really, really good piece of evidence. That's what we got for you.
Interesting.
So, you know, like we were saying, there's nothing bad here, like nothing at all.
I wasn't too worried about that simply because with all of the stuff that had been in this building since it's closed, nothing bad has ever happened. I'm not saying it isn't a possibility, but, you know, and I've never, you know, with all the people that are here after hours and stuff, I mean, you know, you could ask the janitor possibly, you might have heard or seen something, but, you know, it's an old building. There's a lot, and a lot went on in here in the day. This is back, like I said, I've said before, this was when a prison was being punished. It was punishment. It wasn't a summer camp. So there's a lot of nasty things that probably went on in here.
Yeah. You know, and my big take is unless they don't know that they're dead, like if it happens suddenly, like a heart attack or something like that, no spirit is going to stay here. Especially if it was that bad of a time for them. They're going to move on.
Actually, things are is you know that the more evidence you give to me, the more likely I am to be that much more of a believer. I'll put it that way.
So
I'm not saying that I'm not a believer at this point. I know there's a lot of things out there you can't account for, but there's too much of this doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
I thought the investigation went great. Each investigator was able to work on the issues that Dave and I had pointed out while still working very well as a team. A couple more problems have arisen during this investigation that Dave and I will have to address for future cases. I have since named Jim Winter the lead investigator of the Dubuque team. He was able to further along the vetting of the evidence by getting the team together without my being there. So once I was able to come down and join the team, the process was a lot more efficient. I truly believe that just with a few more investigations, this team will be ready to do what it was meant to do, help people.